You're watching the Three and You Giant Fans podcast brought to you by Scott, Giant, Mike and Cardone. We're sponsored by Manscaped.com. Use code AGREYMAN to get a 20% discount and free shipping. And download our audio podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
So that was the call of Daniel Jones getting the first touchdown on the board, giving the Giants a 7-3 lead, and we never gave that lead up en route to beating the Bears.
No, when you're playing the Bears, the 7 points is not insurmountable. They managed 12, but that's akin to like a 21-0 lead when you put up the 7 on the Bears, man.
Danny Dimes doing it with his legs, not once but twice. That was awesome, man. Seeing him, he handled the ball it just great, right? So it was exciting to see him running it and making plays. It's awesome.
So we are the Three Angry Giant Fans. It's your host, Scott, Giant, Mike, and Cardone. I'm rocking the old school LT jersey after we had the throwback unis that were on. And for those that are watching us on YouTube, you did not hear that intro of the play that Daniel Jones scored, but you do get to see us in all of our glory.
That's right. You're going to have to trust us on that until we get some intern help.
The blue uniforms, I've been waiting for those. We've seen the white on white, right? The color rush, but even the helmet wasn't the traditional and old school 80s and 90s helmet, right? The dark blue. Freaking love the Giants home uniform. I know we have it one more time this year, I think against Washington later in the year, but I was excited. You guys mentioned, I think you had already seen, we were texting each other, right? And the old the Super Bowl 21 end zones, right? The red, the blue, lettering on the red background. Freaking awesome. Yeah. I love those uniforms.
Every time I see that end zone, I can picture Stephen Baker with that over the shoulder touchdown, because I had the camera angle of that was up in the air. So you could kind of see the Giants helmet in the red end zone. And that, I'm sorry, not Stephen Baker. That's 25. That was a different end zone.
Well, that was, I think it was the same end zone. No, I think it was still this 25.
Oh, was it similar?
I believe it was, right?
Yeah,
the red.
Maybe it was. Yep. Well, that's what it reminded me of. Whether that's a faulty memory or not, that's what came to my mind when I saw him.
I know what you guys are really missing. You were missing the red Meadowlands logo at the 50-yard line.
I can tell you a story about that logo, right? So I always hated it, right? When we're watching on TV, I'm growing up, I'm like, what is that thing? Is this even our field? I'm not sure what that means, right? Like, there should be a big Giants helmet there. There's just something, something there. But the first time I went to a Giants game and I walked through the tunnel, I literally stopped in my tracks when I saw that logo in the middle of the field in person for the first time. It took my breath away.
I don't know. It
looks like not because it was, this awesome thing, just because, like, holy cow, I've been staring at this thing for, however long it was that I've been really interested in football, the Giants, and like seeing it in person. And that was the first time I realized I am at a Giants game. I am here. Once I see that big ugly monstrosity, I know I'm in the building.
And that was the old AstroTurf, right? The old Giants Stadium. So the logo was faded. It was sort of an off red. You can kind of see the green AstroTurf coming through.
Yeah.
And then it looked like, to me, it looked like an MLS or like a FIFA field with that circular thing in the middle of the field.
If they
have
really
a helmet
wanted
or
to
have
go,
the fucking NFL shield like they have,
Yeah,
it looked like something from out of MLS or the Cosmos back in the early. Yeah.
If they really wanted to go old school, they'd have put that logo on the field this last weekend. That would have been, there you
Imagine
go.
That.
I can see Joe Morris running over that logo.
So before we get into the brutality of the play of Justin Fields and the Bears recap, let's give a shout out. So, hello, Mankato, Minnesota. Back in my day, it was the home of Mankato State hockey, but I think they've since renamed the college to Minnesota State.
Oh, isn't that where Coach? Did Coach coach at Minnesota State?
Was he a Gopher? I can't remember.
No, not Minnesota. It was a fake school at the time. It was probably Mankato.
It might have been Minnesota.
I thought
State.
It was Minnesota State. I thought that's where
it might have been. No,
Craig
it was
T.
right.
Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Coach.
I'm talking about Coach with
Hayden.
Dauber.
Dauber was the assistant.
Was he special teams, I think?
Jerry Van Dyke was the assistant coach.
Yeah.
Well, Mankato, that was also the location of where the Ma and Pa Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie in Walnut Grove. They always had to go to Mankato to get the advanced level medicine and treatment. Whenever someone got sick in Walnut Grove, Doc Baker, he had about 3 different tools in his medicine bag there. Every other episode, they had to go to Mankato for some reason or another, either to get some medicine or open up a new business, or whenever a tornado came through Walnut Grove and ruined a crop. Mankato. That was the answer to everything. Why not just fucking move to Mankato? How about doing that?
Yeah, Mankato. Right? Yeah, if they had to go there that often.
It's sort of like the old Sam Kinison comedy bit in the 80s. Like, stop giving these people food that are starving in the desert. Give them U-Hauls and get them out of there.
Yeah, this is sand. See, sand.
You know what it's going to be?
Nothing grows in here. You know what it's going to be in 100 years? Sand.
Here we go again. 3 Angry Giant fans. You never know. I had no idea Mankato was going to come up, and it made me think of Walnut Grove and all the deficiencies that small town had back in the late 1800s while they're trying to settle there in the Great Plains of the northern U.S. Anyway, Mankato. So let's talk
moving to Mankato would be the opposite of what the Vikings did. So the Vikings training camp for 52 years was in Mankato until 2018. Then they moved it.
There you go.
Well, by the way, I can confirm that the college in coach was Minnesota State.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
Right on, Mike.
Almost as good as almost good as Cardone's Ampipe reference.
Well, I was going to say, I was expecting Cardone to know so much about coach that he was going to go, that first season, they were 2-7, and they came out after that. They got the big win down in Iowa. Knows the stats of the fake team.
Jerkovic took it in for the winning TD.
Stefan Georgevich. My man.
So, recapping the Bears game.
Was there a game?
We were talking about coming in. I mean, the score really could have been worse than it was. We know Gano missed a field goal at the end that would have really salted it away. And then the Scottish Hammer, brought a punt that ended up getting fumbled. And that was the 8-point, final there when we basically ran out the clock. Couple big things there. Dexter Lawrence stepped up huge. I mean, he was a monster in the middle. 2 sacks, 4 pressures, 5 tackles. We did lose Aaron Robinson. He may be going on IR. He might miss he's going to miss at least 4 games. He is on IR, but he might be season ending. And we know what bothers me about that play. I think we talked about it. We were texting at the time. He was held and wrenched to the side on that injury. And no flag, right at the point of attack.
No, that was a big play for the Bears.
I thought Jalen Smith and Jameson and Jaden Smith and Tay Crowder did really well. They made an impact, especially on the run game. Jaden Smith only had 31 snaps, and yet made 7 tackles in those 31 snaps. So he was really active in the run game.
I would never have. I didn't know that he only had 31 snaps. It seems like he was on the field every play because he's perpetually making a play in that game. Yeah. Played well.
But I know the one thing that Cardone wanted to touch upon was the play of Justin Fields in this game.
Oh, man. Leading up to last week, and I was pretty confident that we were not going to, lose to Justin Fields and this Bear team. But as the game went on, I got the sense that it's going to be a close game, and it may come down to a possession or two. And I've said it to, we already texted to each other, guys, and we, around Sunday and post game. Thank God we didn't lose to this quarterback. Because Justin Fields is, we've talked about it a lot on the 3 Angry Giant fans, right? But once again, I'm going to read a statement coming after the post game. This came from their offensive coordinator. So let me first go through just a couple of stats, not just, just as Justin Fields, and the Bear offense after 4 weeks. They rank last in the NFL in completions, attempts, passer rating, interception percentage. As a team, they're 32nd in total passing and passing yards per game. They're at the bottom of every major statistical passing category in the league, and including first downs, you name it, every single one. And a quote comes out from Luke Getsy, their offensive coordinator, and I'll read it word for word. I'm not even going to paraphrase. I don't think he's had a rough month, Getsy said. I think he's gotten better each week. I think he's growing tremendously. And, it's not easy. We're playing good football teams, and it's not easy to become the level of quarterback that he wants to become, and I know that he can become. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, I there's got to be some of that. Well, he's my guy. I got to go out there and shovel some shit today. But that's insanity.
This is from their offensive coordinator, and this again, we've seen enough of a sample size of this guy, right? This is
absolutely.
And I know,
hell yeah.
And I know they got a poor offensive line, and he doesn't have star receivers like some of the other, and we've highlighted that. That's fair. That's fair. But again, to reference this guy and say that he hasn't had a rough month and that he's growing tremendously. No, I loved Wink Martindale. I loved our defensive game plan. We blitzed the snot out of the guy. I think the Giants, and Wink, and this is exactly what we talked about in the offseason, guys, in terms of our defensive game plan, blitz, and be aggressive with blitzes. And I'm okay with it. You're going to get burned with the blitz every now and then. But usually in defenses past and offense and defensive coordinators past, Patrick Graham to name one, we wouldn't send the house at Fields. We would drop back in coverage and say, well, let him, we'll give him the check downs and we're not going to let him beat us. No, we went after his ass, and the Giants, what did we have, 6 sacks, I think?
Yep.
Statistically. Was it 5 or 6?
Was it 5?
It's statistically 6. I think one was.
I think it was one extra
line.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, there was. And we were not going to allow this guy to get any momentum. And he had a couple of those, classic, scrambles on third down, and the one play really pissed me off. That little screen pass on 3rd and 20, that made me sick. Which maybe we'll talk about a couple of specific plays. But bottom line is, guys, Fields going into this game, and the good news is we don't have to talk about him the rest of the year. We beat him, we move on. I'm thrilled to be 3-1. Again, if we all polled ourselves at the beginning of the season, would we say that predicted we'd be 3-1? Absolutely not. I would have been happy with 2-2. So I know we got some tough games coming up. We'll talk a lot about the Dick Aaron Rodgers and breaking down that game as we go on here tonight, guys. But I'm just thrilled that we got past. Wasn't pretty, but as I said to another Giant fan buddy of mine, hey, I'd rather win ugly games than lose ugly games. Call that game ugly. It's an NFL win, and we move on.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Mike.
We talked about that last week. That the play of this team hasn't been that good, but here we sit at 3-1. A lot of that is, we had the Panthers and the Bears on there who, but last year we lose at least one of those games. I'm sure we do. And there's no way we beat Tennessee. So there's, we're probably 1-3 if this is last year. So, I'll go just back to Justin Fields. I've got to echo a lot of the same things Chris said, but I have to say it. This is my guy. This is my dude here. So I agree. Wink Martindale did not shy away from blitzing this guy, which in turn turned into his best passing game of the season so far. 50%, 174, no touchdowns. That's Justin Fields. That's a great day for Justin Fields. So far in his sample size in his career, that's a pretty good day for the guy, really. But it's because we left wide receivers wide open because we were coming after the guy, and that paid off. Yeah, statistically, he had the best game he's had this year, but they did score a touchdown. We sacked him 6 times. So that might be. I mean, Justin Fields might want to get the game ball for that game. If my prediction holds true, this is going to be maybe the best game of his career that he just had, and he got.
Well, I don't mean to interject, Mike. Your prediction that he's going to be out of the league in a year, that's absolutely that is outstanding. I mean, really.
I'll be honest, I'm going to knock wood. It's looking good. That's all I'll say right now. Looking good. But he's atrocious. And here's the funny thing, Chris mentioned this. I've got another example of the same thing. And this is before the Giants game was even played. I don't even remember who the reporter was, what channel. I'm sure it was ESPN. The Bears are working out some kinks in their passing game. So it's the Bears passing. It has nothing to do with Justin Fields. The Bears, these numbers are not indicative of, we just got to figure this out. We're getting there. Like Chris said, no, you're not. You're not getting anywhere. You're getting nowhere, and you're being held back by this guy. Trevor Siemian is their backup quarterback. If they stick with Fields this whole year, they're going to have 2 less wins on their schedule than they would have had if Trevor Siemian was just in their game managing. This guy is the worst if I were a Bears fan and I heard our offensive coordinator say that after this game, like that is the team I'm cheering for ending level stuff. You can't say that. You can't let your fan base hear that and say, are you kidding me? Like, we're not even looking at benching this guy. We're not even saying things like, well, yeah, he's got to get better. Really? We're just saying this is a progression. We're 2 years in. By the way, everyone's excusing it because, well, when you look at Justin Fields, you have to add his rush and pass numbers together. That's what he brings to the offense. So, I'm looking at the game then, and I'm saying, well, why did we criticize Daniel Jones so harshly in his first 2 years then? Because his passing numbers were not stellar, but the guy was ripping off 75-yard rushing games pretty regular. In this game, he outrushed Justin Fields by a bunch and scored 2 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, rushing. So, if you even want to say, because I'm sure there's people out there saying, okay, here's some Giants fans who have managed to find a quarterback worse than Daniel Jones and are just hammering this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm because there's people out there that think that, Justin Fields and Daniel Jones are in the same group. If you think that right now, I honestly, we could use all the listeners we could get, but if you're listening to this and you think that, get the fuck out of here. Don't need you. Can't win with you.
So I'm going to give you a great stat here because people have ridden Daniel Jones and saying, oh, guy can't do anything under pressure. He's terrible in the pocket. He's terrible out of the pocket. Well, Justin Fields this season has been pressured 49 times. I think we pressured him 11 times. On those 49 pressures, he has 5 completions. Daniel Jones has been pressured, I think, 47 times. Out of those 47 times, he has 32 completions.
Yeah. No. Well, that's because Fields and I think he started to get better at this at the end of last year, I believe, but he's regressing right now. If his first read isn't there, he's running.
Well, and by the way, those numbers are when you pass, when you're pressured,
when you actually throw the ball. Okay,
yeah,
well that
you actually
makes
throw the ball.
That makes that stat horrifying. But we did see it on Sunday, though. Fields is a one-read quarterback, and it's not even one read and then panic. It's one read, tuck the ball, and run, never looking to throw again. He's not scrambling to buy time to throw it. He is running the ball if his first read isn't there.
Yeah.
Speaking of a rushing attack, I mean, guys, you look at this Giants team, and one way we've stepped up big. We know the problems we've had in pass protection, but right now, the Giants are the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL. They've been near the bottom of the NFL the last couple of years. Right now, they're averaging over 190 yards a game in the run. That includes, of course, Jones running. Mm-hmm. Barkley has more rushing yards this year than 21 teams do. He's out rushing 21 teams.
Yeah.
And we did something interesting that last game. We ran 3 tight end sets on 17 snaps. So we had 3 tight ends there. And, keep in mind, once Jones got injured and once Tyrod Taylor got injured, we ran the Wildcat for an entire series, and we got a first down.
How weird was that, seeing the Giants in a Wildcat for like an entire drive? I mean, for what seemed like the rest of the game, really, right? It was bizarre.
Yeah. And
that's just not who we are.
What I thought was the most ridiculous part about that is that the Bears actually would send someone out to cover Daniel Jones on the side. Like, what would Jones have done if he got the ball?
Yeah, if he managed to catch it, he'd have to sit down. It's like he couldn't. Yeah, that was one thing I think about, we've talked this year a little bit about if there's a criticism of the play calling right now, it's a little too cutesy at times, especially when you get into the scoring area. It's been a little too cutesy for me. The situation with Jones in this game forced the Giants to close out this game in the exact manner you should close out the Chicago Bears. There is no reason to put the ball in any sort of harm's way, even with a 1-score lead as the clock is winding down against the Bears. You're asking them to do a lot to drive the length of the field and score a touchdown.
I saw a great breakdown of Jones handing the ball off to Barkley 2 times on a stretch run. Mm-hmm. And it completely set up those 2 bootlegs he had where he perfectly tucked the ball away. The defense had no idea where it was, basically waltzed around ends all day long. And the Bears never adjusted to that.
No, they really didn't.
The second one was one of the best play fakes I've ever seen. I mean, there wasn't a single player of the Bears who even thought Daniel Jones even might remotely have the ball.
Yeah, no, it was well executed, right, by Jones and certainly in Barkley. And I tell you that the play that encapsulated the whole game. I mean, that 3rd and 9 to Barkley, right, where he was, dead, right. The Giants were going. I think what was that? The third quarter. I think they were going. They were inside, a field goal range, and then Barkley was dead to rights. 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he scrambles out of there. That looked like a Justin Fields, broken down play in a way. I was, it's funny. I was pissed off about their screen 3rd and 20, earlier in the court, in the game, and then Barkley gets one of his own to get a first down on that play. But it's I don't care. We've talked about it many times, guys, and you want a balanced offense. You want balance, right? You want the kind of the sexy vertical long game, and it's the NFL. We know how pass heavy it is, and quarterbacks are putting up crazy numbers. I don't care how the Giants get their wins. If it's on the ground with Jones's legs and handing the ball off to Barkley and in the running game and ball control and clock, and time of possession, those kinds of things, and don't turn the ball over, then that's who the Giants will be this year. That's fine. Yeah. That's okay. I don't mind. We've talked about it all the times. We're just so desperate to win games. I don't care how they do it. I really don't. So, Barkley, 31 carries, 146 yards, tack on another, the guy had over 150 yards of total offense, 162, I think, to be exact. He looks like he could have that every week. I don't care what defense is coming out there. Yeah. I mean, I know, right, guys? I mean, he has that. He had a number of plays where he was breaking off chunks of yards. It seems like he could do that every single drive almost. I know it's not going to happen, but he's good for one of those at least every game. And if that's who, the experts always talk about, they don't know who they are and they don't have an identity and this and that. That's our Saquon Barkley in the running game and in the short passing game, because we don't have any freaking receivers. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Then that's who we are right now.
Yeah. I love the offensive attack in this game. We mentioned the defensive game plan as well, which I love. But the offensive attack in this game, I think every Giants fan on the planet was pissed off when we ran dives on the first 2 plays. But we're playing the Bears. That was sending a message. I don't care if you got 11 in the box. We're going to run the ball today. And the Bears stuffed those. But then from then on, we'd fake the dive and Jones would roll out. We had them in a real pickle. If you say, okay, if everyone's going to come up and jam the line of scrimmage, then someone should be open in the passing game, right? Well, for the Giants, that's not necessarily the case. We don't really have guys that can get open, even one-on-one. So the Giants coaching staff this week went and looked at it and said, listen, if the Bears are going to send 11 at Barkley, we can run Jones. We have that luxury. Now, we might not have, even though we might have Jones, we might not have that luxury of running Jones at will this upcoming week, but sure, we'll get into that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Reports the last couple of days. By the way, we're recording this on a Thursday, and the reports the last couple of days have been positive in terms of his movement. I saw some video of him in practice. He looked quite good.
Yeah, good.
We got to give a shout out to Evan Neal. So last week one of the opening clips we had was, talking about Dable, talking about Neal having a really rough game against the Cowboys, and he did. He had a bad game, and he said, "What do you do after a bad game?" He said, "Oh, you put it behind you, you go back to work for the next week." Well, Evan Neal gave up no pressures, hurries, or sacks in 21 pass blocking snaps. He did get hurt. He hurt his neck, and I think he's going to play this Sunday. But so he did not play the entire game. But while he was there, he was a bright spot in the blocking game, as was Andrew Thomas, who continues to just dominate at his side.
Yeah. The one thing that's like with an offensive lineman, guys, it's like they should never be on camera during a game, because if they're on camera after a play, something bad happened. It's either a holding call, it's either a penalty, a fault. It's either a false start or a holding, or they got blown up by a defensive end or an edge rusher. And your quarterback's getting just annihilated behind you. So yeah, I remember, you're right, Scott. Like during the game, I don't remember seeing Evan Neal on the TV screen, which is a good sign. You don't want to see your offensive lineman isolated on the screen. So good just a good, solid effort by Neal coming off what, again, only his fourth game, but the week before was he was exposed as against a good Dallas pass rush. So he corrected some things last week, obviously, and then so let's see what he can the whole line. Let's see what they can do against. We got a big one with Green Bay and getting after Aaron Rodgers. I know we'll talk about that. I'm sorry, that's the defensive line. I got confused on the wrong side of the ball, but yeah, I mean,
we still
getting ahead of myself.
Getting ahead of myself. Have a good defensive line too, so we got to protect ourselves there.
Getting ahead of myself.
So we were talking about the offense having a good stat there with the number one rushing attack. The defense, they are the second best red zone defense in the NFL. They have only given up TDs on 36% of drives that have gotten into the red zone, which the league average is over half. Yeah. So they're looking good on both sides of the ball. I think Wink's getting the best out of his personnel. We've had some injuries. Kayvon Thibodeau came back this week. He looked much better than he did in the first game that he came back against Dallas. Ojulari caused a fumble that Thibodeau recovered. That was a pretty big play at that time. The Bears were somewhat had some momentum and were driving. So there weren't a lot of turnovers in that game other than that, and then the muffed punt. I got done on defense.
I don't recall this many, but unless I looked at the wrong stat, I'll check it while I'm saying it.
We had one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richie James.
The Bears actually lost a fumble 6 times in the game. We recovered 3, but they put the ball on the turf 6.
Yeah.
That was surprising. I didn't recall a bunch of those in the game. Of course, it's always hard when you're watching from the bar setting. Some of those scrums, you don't know what's going on the TV, and if someone actually did fumble, but the Bears recovered, it's hard to kind of know that that's what happened.
So Chris was talking earlier about our wide receiver situation, guys. It's bizarre right now. So as we speak tonight, Kadarius Toney is out. He's not going to make the trip to London. This is after he practiced yesterday. So he practiced yesterday. Today he does not practice. It does look like Wan'Dale Robinson is going to play, but Galladay is out. He could be going to IR. We don't know what's going to happen with Galladay. So really, you're looking at Richie James showed up in the injury report with a knee, although he's going to play. So you have Richie James, Sills, Slayton, who drew a pass interference, but should have caught a ball on that play.
Yep.
Was targeted deep by Tyrod Taylor on an interception that worked well as a punt. But really, we took 2 deep shots that game, and they were both to Slayton. Sills and James just aren't getting open consistently. Hopefully, Wan'Dale Robinson brings something to the table, but I'm really surprised we have not brought in a receiver from outside to at least, try and do something. It's just the most. I don't think I've ever seen a situation at wide receiver in a team this odd, especially with the dynamics around both Galladay and Kadarius Toney, where they all right. It appears to us as fans that they really don't want to be out on the field, or if they are on the field, they're not doing anything when they're out there. So it's really hard to put all that together, I think.
Yeah, but we saw this last year at the same position. I was talking to a fellow, Giant fan this week, a coworker, and he said to me, Cardone's amazing that how we have this many guys go. I don't know what's going on. Today's NFL is designed for player safety, right? There's all kinds of things in terms of concussion protocols. They've changed the field. They've changed the helmets, all these things. But I don't recall ever this many guys showing up on the injury report. I'm sure it did, but maybe my memory's just not, recollecting it the same way. But how in the world do we have this many guys down at week 5 at the same position?
Yeah.
Like you said, Scott, we have, and we didn't bring anybody in for a receiver this week. So this is a huge concern. This is a huge problem, this week.
Well,
we were just talking about, I'm contradicting myself here a little bit because I'm like, I don't care about the balance and this and that, how we win games. Barkley's going to run the ball 31 times. But for God, we can't have nobody to throw the ball to. So imagine if this was Aaron Rodgers that we were talking about this week.
Oh my God.
Imagine this was Rodgers and the Packers set of receivers that were getting trotted out there for this game against us.
Oh my God.
It's bullshit.
the media would lose their minds if the receiving cores for these two teams were swapped and the Packers didn't even bring someone to look at this week.
Right?
What? They get Aaron Rodgers on a team he can win with. This is ridiculous. It's a travesty.
I mean, well, what about the rumor about Beckham coming in this week, right? What happened to that?
I think he came in to check on Shepard, but the problem was Josina Anderson tweeted like he was in
real?
for an official visit.
He visits the facility.
It wasn't.
He was in the building seeing friends. But
I know.
She tweets stuff out all the time that makes it sound like it's actually something important, and it's more or less her just looking for attention.
Clickbait.
Clickbait.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Clickbait.
Galladay, my God, I don't know what to just get rid of this clown. I don't know what to do with this guy. And Kadarius Toney can't get on the field. This is bad, guys. This receiver situation is bad right now. The Giants trainer is just whoever this person is. I don't even know who the trainer is. That's one of my pet peeves. It's just our strength and conditioning coach and our training staff. What is going on? That's my pet. Yeah,
running in a straight line and blowing up.
Yeah.
Like there's landmines out there. Now, if someone offered us right now, if someone just came to us and said, hey, Kadarius or Kenny Galladay, is he available for nothing? Like, can we just have him? I'd be like, send him home. Go take the contract and go. Remember, like you'd see those trades in baseball sometimes, and this guy was traded for cash. That's the kind of.
I mean, it's like donating a broken down car to Goodwill. You don't want anything for your car? Nah, just gonna fucking donate it to Goodwill. Just come pick it up. You're gonna have the whole thing. You don't want to empty out the glove compartment or anything? Fuck it, just take it. Whatever's in there. I don't even care.
Take it off my hands.
It doesn't. Yeah. No. I got like an old iPhone charger in there. I got some just whatever's in the car. Just take it. What do you want to empty out the trunk? I said, no, just take it all. I don't care. I don't want anything.
The only
just
thing
take
is
the whole car.
The only thing is you have to take our $17 million car payment with it. So that's the only caveat.
Yeah, it's paid off, right? No,
it's
not even close.
Here's the coupon book. You're gonna have to settle that out.
And we still don't know the severity of Galladay's injury. They haven't put him on IR yet, which means
I know the severity. I know, I really do. I'm not even kidding. It's fake. The guy doesn't. The severity is 0. That's what the severity is.
Unbelievable.
He doesn't want to play for this team. And you know what? Feelings mutual, buddy. Come on. Go ahead.
Well, we can't have Cole Beasley. He just retired today, so he's off the table. Who would have thought that our biggest loss this season at wide receiver would be Cardone's guy, Colin Johnson?
Right? Where's Johnson right now? Let's go find him.
Poor guy was tearing it up in camp, and then he blew out his knee.
Tearing it up?
Oh, that's right. He did get injured.
Yeah. So, or it might have been an Achilles or knee. I can't remember. It was something, but season ending, whatever it was.
Where's Bachman? Bring back Bachman from preseason.
At least for the Bachman Turner overdrive jokes, if nothing else.
Right. Give the 3 Giant fans, a little bit more material.
So before we get to the lookout of the Packers, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Manscaped. So again, thank you to all of our listeners who bought Manscaped products. We will be extending our contract with them. Again, I'm just waiting for the details on that. And support for the 3 Angry Giant Fans podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com, who is the best in man's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. And if you go to manscaped.com and put in the code AngryMan, you'll get 20% off your order as well as free shipping. And, we've talked about every podcast since we've started doing this. I love the products. I never thought I'd be that guy either. I'm like, I'm not going to buy, shampoo that costs that much. I'm not going to buy ball refresher I was going to buy ball refresher no matter what the cost. So it's actually been refreshing to see products that I'm opening up my horizons to.
Yeah, it really is. It's like another world. And, it's a great world. It's a great place to be. I mean, it's comfortable. It's I don't know what else to say. I mean, we've lavished platitudes on this stuff the last 4 or 5 weeks, and rightfully so. I mean, you get the things you get, and start small, guys. You don't have to go out there and get the big shaving kit and all that to go with. Try some of the other stuff they have. Try the shampoo, as Scott mentioned. Start small. You'll start to understand the quality of what this company Manscaped is bringing to the table. And, it doesn't have to break the bank. Start small. We're giving you 20% off. You don't have to pay for freight with Angry Man. So go out there and get it. Do yourself a favor and do it. Your balls will thank you.
Yes, they will. Great list. Every single one of their products. I haven't, like I said, I'm just starting to my collection. I'm slowly but surely adding. The shampoo and conditioner is on its way. I placed an order for that. So can't wait to try that for the first time. So no, this stuff's awesome, guys. So if you haven't gone out and ordered anything, as Mike just said, just start small. Start with product here, product there. We love the guys at Manscaped. Like I said, you'll love these products, guys. So everyone out there who's listening, absolutely. We swear by it. So this stuff is a great line of products. And so just go to manscaped.com, Angry Man, and you'll get 20% off.
So this past weekend, I went to the Clemson NC State game, and we were because it was a night game. We started tailgating about 1:00. We went and we went to about 4 different tailgates. So you're doing probably 7 miles worth of walking when the day's over with. And I had the non-chafing boxer briefs from Manscaped on, and I got to tell you, there's no chafing, no uncomfortableness the next day or anything. So it worked out great. So
that was a whistle.
We got the Packers coming up in jolly old England at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday. We're going to be gathering at Mike's house for mimosas and Bloody Marys.
Can't wait.
Woohoo! Bonnie's going to have a spread put out for us. Whoop, whoop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're ready to go, man. I've been back and forth to the store all week getting stuff for this thing at her whim. She's excited. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
It's not too early for a few pints as well, right, guys?
Until the game starts.
Yeah.
The game's going to ruin her.
Clotted cream and bangers and mash and mushy peas.
No, that's not me. I'm not that guy. No, I don't. No. By the way, we can't let it skip that Scott started this off with an English accent, and actually, as far as his go, it wasn't that bad. Like
that was one of the better ones actually.
That was
spot on.
Now he goes Australian. It's he's all over the map. You should have left it alone.
So we are playing the Packers this Sunday, and we know of 5 guys that aren't going to make the trip. So Kadarius Toney's out, Ojulari is out again with his calf, Cordell Flott is out, Galladay is out, and Mondo is out. And we're playing the Packers. The Packers look beatable. I watched the game last week. As long as Jones has mobility, I think, we have a shot in this game. We got to control Aaron Rodgers and those receivers who he hasn't gotten the best, rapport with yet. But we have to pressure the dick.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game. Pressuring. And the thing about Rodgers that we know, we go from, we already covered for a lengthy period of time, from like one of the worst throwers in the league in Justin Fields to probably the best in terms of throwing receivers open. Rodgers is probably the best at that in the game still, where there's a window, the size of the football, and he's able to do that on the run. I got to admit, I watched a decent chunk of the game against the Patriots last week, and they battled them to, New England battled them to overtime, and that was one I think most people thought Green Bay was probably just going to win handily, and New England
with the third string quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So New England gave them a really good game, and yeah, Green Bay looks beatable, but this game is gonna come down, and most games come down to the same, kind of the same things. It's getting pressure or just making Rodgers as uncomfortable as possible. Getting in his face, and then if Daniel Jones, his health, we'll see. If he's not at full speed and he can't do those bootlegs that he was just doing and running, because let's be honest, our offensive line is still, our pass protection, we don't have a clean pocket still, so Jones is going to have to, and he's becoming, I tell you, one thing I noticed about Jones, guy's throwing incredibly well on the run because first, he has to, And
If he
B,
couldn't
he's
throw on
not.
the run.
Yeah, he actually is. Is decent at it. So the guy's pretty skilled at throwing on the run. So I see that again. But if Jones if he's hampered at all with that ankle, it's going to be. I don't see them winning this game. I think what I like about the Giants now is, and we couldn't say in for a long time, is that they're a competitive football team right now. The Giants, is as difficult as it is to see them, beating Green Bay, because I don't know that they have all the, everything there in the game plan to do that. But it's hard to see the Giants getting blown out too by this team. I don't see that either. And I like the fact that it's a neutral field. Both teams are going over to London. I like that we're playing this team over there rather than having to go to Lambeau. So a couple things there that, maybe the Giants, if the ball bounces our way here and there, we get a couple breaks. There's everyone's beatable. We know the cliche any given Sunday. So, maybe that could be the Giants. I'm not ready to give my prediction just yet, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I'm going to contradict myself all over the place. So I agree with you guys. Green Bay, Dallas is definitely the Notre Dame of the NFL, but Green Bay is also on that list of a team that always gets a little bit more props and love than they actually deserve. And they're in a little bit of trouble when some of the national media starts saying, how good's Green Bay? That means they're probably really not that good. They're probably there in that second group of teams. And I do think that's where they are. And I think the outside of Lambeau Field 8-point spread is crazy against a team who's played defense as well as we have. On the same token, unless there's a vast improvement in offensive line play, again, are they beatable? Yes. Are they beatable by us right now? No.
Yeah. Well, I will throw out a stat that gives me hope, and that's Green Bay has given up 3 games of 125 plus yards rushing against their opponents. Yeah. So they can be run upon. They have a great pass rush. They've gotten a lot of pressure on people. Maybe they pad their statistics against the Bears in that capacity because they did play the Bears, but they still have on defense. That's what's carrying them this year, and it's surprising because Rodgers has been uncharacteristically off at times, and I've seen plays where he throws a perfect ball and the receiver drops it, and that kind of stuff tends to even itself out over a season or two, unless you're Evan Ingram.
Ingram.
Well, another good stat about this game, by the way. This is going to be the 31st game that's ever been played in London. This is the first time both teams will actually have a winning record when they go there.
Oh, wow.
Really?
I love stats like that. That's cool.
I thought you were going to say, well, this is the first time Green Bay has played over there. I think
it is.
Are they the last team in the NFL to make this trip? I think they are.
Have the Panthers played there?
I don't know. I thought I heard that Green Bay is. Could it be that there's because they've been doing this since 2007, I think. The Super Bowl year.
With it being the 31st game, it's possible because that means there's been 62 teams technically that have played there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard Green Bay. This is their first.
I know it's their
first.
It's their first. I just don't know if they're the last ones.
I think I heard that.
So I thought this was the first year they had multiple games over there, but with that many games, apparently not.
No, last year they had, I think, 3 or 4. It seemed like towards the middle they were having like every time I turn on the TV on a Sunday morning, I'd be like, I'm watching the NFL Network, and they would flash back to a score, and I'm like, oh shit, there's a game on right now.
Yeah.
By the way, I kind of dig the name of this. It's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
The Tottenham Hotspur.
The Hotspur. Tickets as low as $402, guys. Of course, that doesn't include the airfare and the hotel and the bangers and mash and the pints and the Guinness and everything else. So, 402 just to walk into the stadium, guys.
By the way, they are just called the Spurs. They just call them the Spurs.
The Spurs, love it.
The Spurs. So playing FIFA gets me. I know a lot of useless knowledge about soccer.
Yeah, useless is correct.
I could give you more USFL stats than soccer, I think. The old USFL, the original one.
You give me more Pipe High stats than
soccer,
I think.
I could give you Salvucci's, yards per carry, probably.
What was the starting offensive line for the 1992 Orlando Breakers? Chris.
Well, now again, were they in Boston? Were they in New Orleans? They were. This team was all over the freaking continental U.S. The Breakers. They couldn't settle in one city, for God's sakes. Kind of like Ryan Fitzmagic. Couldn't settle in just one city his entire career.
So, score predictions. I'm going to go first because this is the first week I'm predicting the Giants to actually lose.
God, that's a bad sign.
I had them winning every game. Actually, I think I had them losing to the Titans. So I did. I had them losing once. I think this is going to be a close game. I think that 8.5 point spread, whatever it is now, is ludicrous for the way the Giants have played, especially on defense on a neutral field. Yep. I think it's going to be a relatively low scoring game. I know when the Packers played the Bears, they didn't score a ton of points against that Bears team who does have a decent defense. And I look at this being similar to, some of the games we've seen played. I think Graham Gano is going to be giving the Londoners a show of what they're used to seeing, and that's kicking the ball. But it's going to be somewhere in the range of 17-13, 20-13. Packers win.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I'm on the same page, Scott. We know we can't score a lot of points. The Giants are right now. We're not. We're struggling just to get to 20 really. And by the way, I know we mentioned it already, but I was stunned and shocked that Gano missed that 37-yarder to ice the game, because that would have put us up by 11. Game would have been over. Yeah. And nothing's easy, right, guys? I was sitting there. Same thing. Mike and I were at different. Yeah, we were at different establishments, but I was out watching the game at a sports bar, and as we all know, at least my buddies here, I don't watch field goals, right? As when we're kicking them, and so I kind of had my head down a little bit, just waiting for the kick to go through and be like, we haven't. And sure enough, I heard, another buddy of mine, like, oh my God, he missed it. I'm like, here we go. Like, the game's still alive. So I couldn't believe that Gano had missed that. But yeah, this Packer team, I wish we had a little bit more firepower right now, because I think we'd be able to give Green Bay a true game. The Giants are not ready to go to 4-1. I mean, let's be honest. I'd be stunned if they somehow come home with a 4-1 record and we send Green Bay home, 3-2. I just don't think the Giants are ready for that. So this game, I think Rodgers, he's certainly going to have. I don't think he's going to completely go bananas on us in terms of statistics, but I see. I don't know. I see Green Bay. I see like a 24-14 loss. So maybe I'm thinking like maybe a late touchdown and they do cover the spread. I don't care about the spread, to be honest, but I just don't think the Giants can score, more than, in the teens right now.
Yeah. So, guys, here is the scores for, and I won't even tell you which team. These are just we've played 4 games. So there's 8 scores, ours and our opponent's scores. So here they are: 21-20, 19-16, 16, 23, 20, 12. Yeah. Why in the world would this game be any different than that? It's going to be a low 20s to high teens game. Insert number here. I'll pick 22-18 Green Bay. That's that.
That's it. That would be an odd, box with the 2 and the 8 there. The 8 by 2.
I feel like kind of an ass for picking that, because you remember back in the day, Boomer would always pick. Berman would always pick odd scores like that just to be different. And I'd always be like, what a tool when he did that, And now here I am.
Do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. He'd always be like, the Bay of Pigs game, 7-5.
Speaking of Boomer, another Boomer Esiason this week said the Giants are going to have 1 win the rest of the season, while the Jets will have 7 more wins going forward.
I did not hear that. Are you serious? He said they'd have 1 win the rest of the year?
1 win the rest of the year.
Come on, you asshole.
I mean, where do people? It's like, do you want to be Skip Bayless?
Yeah, no, that's what it's all about. Look, he may luck up and be right. Do you guys remember like 88? Or no, I think it was 86 actually, when I don't remember who it was, but predicted like the Jets were something like 7-0. Yeah. And it was one of the commentators said they won't win another game, and they didn't. Yeah. That was awesome.
Novak would remember that probably. Yeah, you're right though. Something. Yeah.
He probably does. He's probably going to send in a tweet or something to Twitter for us that says actually they were 9-0 and they did, and it was Jimmy the Greek and whatever it was. So when mediocre teams start out good, it's like an offense to sportscasters for some reason. And it's only offensive if they didn't pick the team to do well.
Exactly.
So here's my example. I'm sorry, Scott, I stole this right from you. I'll give it back.
No, go ahead.
This might kind of bleed into a pet peeve I have. So every year, teams start out hot. Some start out hot. Some start out cold. Some 2-2, right? But the teams that by this time that are 4-0, 5-0, they're peaking too early. These teams are peaking too early. And I'm not saying they're even wrong about that. A lot of times they're right about that. But if it's a team like Philadelphia that for some reason I still can't understand what they saw last year made people pick Philly to be good this year. I don't know what they saw. They must have been right, but I don't know how they made that leap to come to that place. But I haven't heard a peep about that. I haven't heard a peep about Philly peaking too early or nothing like that. They're a juggernaut now somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Scott, I'll let you get back.
No. I think that's really good. Because, that is one of those points, like for years, how many times were people, it seemed like for like 10 straight years, and when teams were terrible, people were always picking the Raiders and Cardinals to have breakout seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And every year they would start off like 1-4, and people would be like, oh, well, just give them time. And then, they'd end up like with a 5-11 record back then, 16 games.
Yeah.
And it just, everyone was always on their bandwagon. And like you said, Mike, it was a bias because they thought they would be good. Well, they're just in a slump right now.
Yeah,
they were a bad team.
No one's ever going to come out and say, you know what, I was dead wrong. This team sucks. You never hear anyone say that.
We get that about the Giants right now. They start out 3-1, and we have to hear the malarkey about, is this the worst 3-1 team ever? Why? Because you predicted them to win 4 games this year? Why is that?
Why? Yeah, and they're pretenders. And the Giants aren't pretending to be anybody. Look, they're obviously a team that doesn't have all the pieces in place yet. I mean, that's obvious to anyone. If there's a Giant fan out there that thinks this team right now is going to the Super Bowl, you are nuts. Like no, the three of us are. We range from crazy to mild, and we get angry and we do all that. Not one of us thinks 3-1 is who the Giants is. None of us think the Giants are going 12-5. Right?
I don't know if any one of us think they're actually going to make the playoffs this year. I think they might sneak in, but that's only because the rest of the NFC sucks too.
Yeah. So why do we have to? Oh, they're pretenders. They're worst 3-1 team. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
I don't.
I think it was many years ago, and I want to say Bruce Coslett of all head coaches when he was coaching the Jets.
For the Jets.
Well, I just remember, and he may or may not have. It's just my first memory of a coach making this kind of statement in a post game, and same kind of thing. It just happened to be the Jets, and they were. They won an ugly game, and the media's just peppering Bruce Coslett in the post game about how could you really be happy with your team's performance, this and that. And Coslett, it was a great comeback. He just said, he goes, listen, I'm not going to apologize for winning. I'm sure he wasn't the first coach to say that and won't be the last, but I always love that statement who have you played? I'm like, I don't know. We fucking have played NFL teams that are on our schedule. I can't apologize for that either.
Yeah,
I love that one where like the non-knowledgeable football fan, like, well, who have you played? Other NFL teams? I don't know.
Yeah. Eventually the same teams that everyone else in our division will play.
Exactly.
Like what?
Right. Right. With the rotating, everyone plays pretty much the same damn schedule as in division by division, with the exception of 3 other games. That's it. In the 17 game, that was only 2 games up until, we expanded it to 17 games. But that's kind of where the Giants are right now. I'm not going to apologize for being 3-1. I don't care what it looks like to the outside fandom world, or I don't care that they don't have fantasy football stars on people's, I don't care about all that stuff. We know exactly what this team is right now, I think. And, after 4 weeks, which, quarter of the season, whatever, and we had the extra game, whatever, semantics here, but we have a head coach, we have, we a couple things we identified just ourselves in preseason. Saquon Barkley's back to being what we thought he could be. The offensive line needs a lot more improvement. We've already been decimated by injuries. I'm happy to be 3-1. Do I think the Giants are going to the playoffs? No, we'll see. There's a lot of football left, obviously. But no, I don't think so. Probably not. They could still be floundering around less than 500 by the end of the season. But I don't know, guys. There's a lot of games left. I'm not worried about it. Like, this is a week-to-week team right now. I just love the fact that I'm excited about the NFL again. I haven't been for 5 years with this team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We touched on it earlier, and it's one of the biggest things. I mean, you even Joe Judge himself talked about this a couple times over the last couple of years. This team is getting better, but we need to find a way to win the game. Like, we're not doing that. Yeah. So if these other things, I think we've improved almost everywhere, including offensive line from last year. But the biggest improvement to me is we're 3-1. We found a way to win ugly. Yeah. So that's only going to get better as the team gets less and less ugly, which I think even our biggest critic would have to say, the Giants aren't really good right now. They're on the right path. I think anyone would have to say that. Yeah, Dabo looks like the real deal. Who knows with all the contracts coming up where we'll be, but we appear to be building something.
And if you look at the odds are, we'll be 3-3 going into Jacksonville in 3 weeks in a toss-up game. So, we're 3-1 now. We've got a good start to the first quarter of the season. We'll build upon it, or we'll see what happens as we go along. I had to laugh earlier this week because they were doing a breakdown of each division, and they were like, in the surprise division, the NFC East has the best record of any division in the NFL. And then as they're contradicting themselves that they're surprised, the one guy goes, well, we saw Philadelphia and Dallas were going to be like this, but the Giants are the surprise team there. It's like, you really saw Philadelphia and Dallas being that good? Really? Did you really think that? Because last year, we were in a race to 2 years ago, we were in a race to 500. Last year, we were in a race with teams that were winning 10, 11 games.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's all, it's the two jobs that you wouldn't think are even close to related, but are so closely related, are weathermen and sportscasters. They never have to get anything right, and they never have to apologize the next day.
I would love for some of these sports shows to go back, just roll the tape, from predictions like earlier in the season. It's like this stuff just gets filed away. It just goes in some filing, like it never gets brought up again.
I don't think it gets filed away. I think it gets burned.
Right.
So, I think the last 5 minutes we've been going off. And actually, let me throw a question out there before we get into pet peeves. What do you guys think of how we'll handle the Packers rushing attack? Aaron Jones has not been the Aaron Jones we've seen in the last several years, but the two-headed monster between, himself and Moss have been, that it's been they have a decent rushing attack.
Yeah, they definitely do. I really, from what I've seen and from what I heard and have seen from Wink Martindale, both with us and in the past, I would be shocked at all this year if any team's running game takes over a game against us. Green Bay is among the best that we're going to see, and they might put a big number on us, but I think that'll be few and far between this year. So if there's a game where we're going to get beat up on the ground, this could be it. But I don't think there's going to be many chances. This game, in my mind, comes down to bringing our sponsor back in. We have to shave the dick this week. That's what we have to do. That's what it all comes down to.
We have to shred the cheese. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
So maybe let's get some shredding done this Sunday. Here's an interesting stat, guys. I was just looking at, and for what it's worth, 4 games. Total offense, Green Bay is 6th in the league. That's, going by yards per game, which is obviously, impressive. But ironically, they're only scoring 18.8 points a game. The Giants are averaging 19 points a game. So I haven't watched enough, which is weird. So there's the prediction of the low scoring game. Both these teams are scoring in the teens. So Green Bay, they're getting up. I don't know if they're just, piling on yards in between the 20s and then not punching it in when they get to the red zone, perhaps. Haven't watched enough of Green Bay to see what's, while they're not scoring, because this is typically a team that scores in the high 20s on average. Certainly in years past. I mean, Rodgers, we know about their offense. So, and of their total offense, 145 of that is averaged on the ground. So yeah, they got a nice balanced attack. They have a balanced attack. We don't. We have, we're a little bit more one dimensional right now on the ground. We are not getting yards through the air. So Wink, he's got to come up with a good defensive game plan here to combat Aaron Rodgers. Aaron. Yeah.
I do think Leo is back.
Leo is back?
Leo should be back based on everything I've heard.
I will change my prediction about the running game then. We are going to stuff it. I do think one thing about the defensive game plan in general, not just the running attack, is with the pressure we're able to get when blitzing, we need to back off of Rodgers this week. We can't blitz 60% in this game against Aaron Rodgers. That will get ugly. This isn't Justin Fields back there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is one we might want to back off just a little bit. I still love the idea of keep them guessing and blitz at key moments, but in general, I think we'll see a much lower blitz percentage this week. I also think the other thing Wink needs to lay off on is when we got a team in 3rd and 20, it's fine to play the umbrella defense at that time. We got to stop giving up these 3rd and 20s, guys. That's Dallas and I think Tennessee had one. Christian McCaffrey. We've given up at least one in every game, I believe.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Just a 3rd and super long.
And I have a correction. I said Moss earlier. I meant A.J. Dillon. So I don't know why I was thinking of Buffalo, I think, with their backup running back. But Dillon and Jones.
You don't have to apologize if neither one of us caught it. So
I didn't catch it. Yeah.
That's you can tell how much homework Chris and I did this week, man. We studied the rosters up and down. We were ready.
Right.
All right, pet peeves. You guys got pet peeves this week?
I do have one. And I thought about how pissed I would be if this was us and our head coach. So this has been the popular thing now in all of sports, right? We've seen it in every major sport. We see it in baseball. We see it, I'm talking about the analytics and these head coaches that instead of just going by their instinctual, head coaching, instincts and experience, it's everything comes down to analytics. And I'm talking about the Baltimore Ravens and John Harbaugh specifically. I think everyone knows by now that this team it was in a tie ball game, had a goal to go from the 2-yard line and decided to go for it instead of taking the 3-point lead with under what was there, 2.5 minutes left?
2.5 minutes left, yeah.
2.5 mintes left. Can you imagine that's Daboll and the Giants and we don't take when I saw that, and that was going on while I'm watching, at the bar there, of course, you have all the games going on. I'm obviously fixated on the Giants, but I was kind of aware of what was happening in the Raven Bill game. And and Harbaugh's just like blatant, unapologetic post-game conference is like, well, the analytics that gave us the best chance. It's like, what? I was thinking the same thing. Like, that's when Michael Scott and Dwight Schrute following the analytics of the fucking GPS and the routing system just drove into a lake in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Remember Michael Scott? He's like, Dwight's trying to tell him to make a turn. No, the analytics are telling us that this is the road we want, and they end up plunging a Toyota Camry into some lake in Scranton. That's basically what Harbaugh did. He was listening to the analytics instead of just using common fucking sense, kicking I could see maybe if you had even at least a 3 or 4 point lead, and you're trying to maybe cement that game or put it away. And what I love about that situation is that, and fans would do this as well, where if we don't get it, they stuff us. At least we have them buried at the 2. Mind you, the game is still tied. Oh, and by the way, it's Josh Allen on the other side of the field, not Justin Fields. Maybe if you had Justin Fields, I'm like, well, you know what? Fields ain't gonna, trot down the field in 2-minute offense. So, they got Josh Allen. Oh shit. Okay. Well, maybe we should have kicked a field goal. So, Lamar Jackson scrambles around, throws the interceptions, which is great. So now Buffalo has already got the breathing room on the 20-yard line.
Yeah, you didn't even pin him back.
You didn't even get the benefit of pinning him on the 2-yard line. You get the turnover, which nobody could have predicted, right? Harbaugh didn't, obviously consider that scenario, did you, John? So no, there's just these analytics, guys, in today's modern day NFL, where teams are going for it on fourth down, not taking the points. It's wacky right now, and it's bizarre what's happening. That one really, and everyone is, everyone's a second guesser, and everyone's, hindsight 2020, Monday morning quarterback, you name it. But I don't know how many people were okay with that decision to go for that field goal there. If that was the Giants and we lost that game the way they did, how freaking pissed off would we be talking and recapping that game?
And that was very much like a Giant loss of past years, because I don't know if you saw the subsequent drive that Buffalo had. The Ravens got a third down stop, but oh no, we roughed Josh Allen on a play that they barely touched the guy and didn't hit him in the helmet, didn't hit him low. They knocked him to the ground, which I guess you can't do to an NFL quarterback. You can hit Tyrod Taylor in the head as he's going down the sideline, but you can't hit Josh Allen while he's in the pocket and knock him over.
No, you can't.
Yeah, that's awesome, Chris. I don't even know if that was analytics that Harbaugh was following, but probably someone came up and blistered his ear. You can't win a game with field goals, because that we know that's even bigger than analytics. Even as the time is winding down and the game is tied, I'm not kicking that field goal there for pussies.
And furthermore, Varnagate, on top of that, they also blew a 17-point lead at that point. And so you figure, like, hey, you know what? We had a bit, like, why would you not just grab the lead? That's crazy to me.
Just stop the bleeding.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is.
I know, you're on there's rationale to you got Lamar Jackson and he's the most dynamic player in the NFL and all those things. Yeah, but it's still hard to get 2 yards in the red zone there on fourth down. It just is. It still is.
It really emphasizes the problem with analytics in the NFL. And it's you can't really apply it to one play. If common sense overrides analytics, you've got to go common sense. I mean, there's, you can't, faced in that situation, say, well, the stats tell me most of the time that I'm better off if I score a touchdown here. Well, you still have to score the fucking touchdown. I mean, it's not like, they're not going to step aside and, you get a touchdown. I mean, at some point, game situation takes over, and you've got to say, don't give me the analytics right now. I'm taking the goddamn lead. At some point that has to happen. And
I mean, it's sort of like let's make a deal where, like, you already have the fucking washer and dryer, and it's like, well, I don't know what's behind. You know what? The hell with that. I'm going to take what's behind. Hey, hold on a second, like, Mr. Contestant. Like, there can be a donkey behind the wall there. Number 3, like, and all of a sudden the damn, like, door slides open. There's the donkey, and it's like, holy shit! I can't believe the donkey came out. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, there's a good chance the donkey's going to be there. Like, why would you not? Why would you be that shocked that you didn't
passed up $1,000 for a donkey?
Exactly.
Do you think those contestants ever really took the donkey home?
That's great. I always wondered about that. When they won the gag gift. I want that. Not only am I not rich, family, I went out to Hollywood, I went on a game show, but now I got a fucking donkey in my backyard. Does anyone want this donkey? The more you say donkey, the funnier the word sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
But by the way, the other thing that went unnoticed is Chris snuck in a line from back to school.
Oh, I did.
Furthermore,
and another thing, Varnagate. Yeah, it was actually, and another thing, Varnagate. Furthermore, Varnagate. Yeah, Kurt Varnagate. I'm stopping payment on the check. What?
That was awesome. Yeah. That was good stuff. That feeds pretty well into mine. And I actually have a couple, and I have to get at least the second one out because it won't be relevant after next week anymore. But but the one that feeds in nice with Chris's there is, I noticed it this week, and it was actually the Harbaugh post game that made me notice it. Coaches today are so boring. Why are they? There's not one decent personality in the league right now. You think back to some classic coach rants, or Scott was talking earlier even about whatever Rich Kotite. Who are you talking about? It wasn't Kotite.
Oh no,
it was
he was talking about Bruce Coslet.
Even guys like Coslet would get up there and
had
lose
a
their
couple
cool.
good ones.
These guys are so saccharine and so plain right now. And Harbaugh's case here, that's kind of a different story. I mean, Harbaugh was just like, well, I went by analytics, so I'm above being criticized. Like, there's no, what do you guys? Why is this a question? I went by
He's
the
a
analytics.
robot.
Yeah. So that's what sucks. That's my pet peeve right now is these post-game press conferences. They're not even worth watching. There's no chance that we're going to get another classic playoffs. There's no chance of that happening.
You play to win the game.
Yeah. We've lost all that. It's all like that. Well, we did a great job stopping the run in the first half. And like Cardone mentioned earlier, it's like, are you concerned about Justin Fields? Did you guys just see the same game I watched? Justin Fields was out of his mind today. I mean, there's
unreal.
There's no criticizing of their own team. There's no, I like, it's a little bit refreshing hearing Daboll say things like we weren't very good, because even that is kind of rare these days. Even though Daboll says it in the most saccharine way ever, he's not gonna make any highlight reels for a post-game press conference, but at least he's in there saying, Neal, he specifically named a player. Neal has to get better. And on the flip side of that, you've got the offense coordinator for the Bears saying, no, Justin Fields doesn't need to get any better. He's perfect. Give me 11 Justin Fields.
Growing tremendously.
So, yeah, that's my second one is going to piss both of you guys off, which is why I'm going to say it, and it's awesome. I am so sick and tired of sports media so desperate for a big story that they make up records to give to people. It's ridiculous. Honestly, who gives a shit about American League home run record? Are you shitting me? Shut up.
He's gonna shit
this
on
guy,
Judge now.
I mean, there's nothing like the McGuire Sosa year, but they're trying to make it like cutting into shows. Get out of here with this guy. Come on, he plays in a bandbox, for crying out loud. How no other Yankee has hit over 60 is out of this world, almost impossible. Give me a break. Go make up what Judge did this year is MVP worthy. He's a great player and he should be recognized and all this. But the deal they're making out of this, he didn't threaten. They're acting like he's nipping at Bond's heels. No, he's not. It was never even close to that. It's ridiculous. He was out of Bond's league in August. He knew he wasn't going to get there. So let's make up American League home run. Gives a shit. When people goes, well, okay, Bond's hit 73. Well, who's the best in the American League? That's what I want to know. Horseshit.
I'll give you something. So we were with some Clemson fans last weekend, and they were pissed as hell that during the stressful points of the game against Wake Forest the week before when they were in overtime, that the game kept getting broken into to show Aaron Judge's at bats.
Show Judge get walked.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I will give you that. Now I will say that
a totally different sport. That's what's great about it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, here's the other thing. So this wasn't you guys. Neither one of you have said this to me at all. But I saw a bunch of Yankee fans bitching that, he could be up with Bonds if he didn't get walked so often. Oh, because Barry Bonds never got walked in the 73 home run year. Yeah, people were just grooving pitches to Bonds every time he got up there. Give me a break. And I like Aaron Judge. And like I said, this is an MVP season. He is an amazing player. But give it a rest.
Now, I will say two things. So, number one, Aaron Judge has 20 more home runs than the closest competitor, which is like the first since Babe Ruth did that. The second is that there's still talk from people that want to give the MVP to Ohtani. So you got a guy and if you're going to give the MVP to him this year on a last place Angels team, then give it to him every year just because he pitches and hits. That's basically what this boils down to.
Yeah,
exactly. He's like the 25th best hitter in the league.
That's insane.
That's a participation trophy.
My problem is not with Joe Judge, or not Joe Judge. Aaron Judge. Gosh, did I say Joe Judge more than once in that rant?
No, just
right.
there. My heart just kind of fluttered.
No. no. My problem is not with Aaron Judge. Like I said, he's an amazing baseball player. I wish my team had him. It's just with this, we're trying to sensationalize something where super impressive does not rise to the level of cutting into other sports to talk about.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. All right, my pet peeve it's sort of relevant because this week we heard a lot about it with the wide receiver situation, but I still get so upset when fans hear a name and they know that name, and so they want that player just because they know the name. And like this week, Andy Isabella was cut by the Cardinals, basically a third, fourth string wide receiver his entire career. Wait a minute, Andy Isabella's out there. We got to bring him in. Why? Because you've heard of the guy? I just don't get it. I mean, why do you have to bring him in? Maybe he's like a terrible wide receiver. They have tape that shows that the guy doesn't run routes. He's out smoking pot. He doesn't study. He's with Kyler Murray playing video games instead of learning the playbook. Why do we have to bring this guy in because we've heard of him? And I'll give you a good story. So, last year we had Corey Coleman on the practice squad for a while. And people were like, you got to elevate Corey Coleman to the game day squad and everything else. Well, there was a story behind that. The Giants knew that Corey Coleman had screwed up again, and had he become an active player, he was going to get suspended. So they were actually keeping this guy on the payroll on a practice squad below the radar, and they ended up releasing him. So they released him. Someone else signed him. What happened? He was suspended because they knew that was going to happen. But all these fans were like, you got us bring Corey Coleman. We need more receivers. Come on. And just because you've heard of the guy doesn't mean he's a great player.
It's a great point.
Yeah. No,
that's a good one.
Really good.
Yeah.
And there's a couple key points in there too. Like I love Scott made this point, but I just want to re-emphasize it. I love we got to bring him in. The cliches. We got to bring him in and take a look. You bring him in and kick the tires. No, that's okay. We have 5 years of tape. We don't need to bring him in. This guy sucks. So I swear to God, fans of some teams think that every day is like open tryouts at the stadium. Like you can just go up and be, hey, can I run some routes for you guys? Like, no, you don't bring them in.
By the way, one thing we did not mention tonight, and it's sort of a big thing, is we had signed AJ Klein, the linebacker, to our practice squad. He was poached by the Ravens midweek, so we've signed Landon Collins, and Landon Collins is going to make the trip to London, so he may end up playing this week. Now, I don't know. I had it down on my list. We just ended up talking about other stuff, but Landon Collins is a giant guy. I know that name, Landon Collins.
Landon Collins.
He's got to start. Yeah, man. So in this game, if we get a illegal hit to the helmet, hit on a defenseless receiver penalty, that'll be Collins back there, flying around like a missile in the secondary. He probably can't fly around anymore like he did when he played for us before, but he had some moments. Now I liked him as a player. He was a great run stopping safety. That's probably what Wink Martindale likes about him.
Yep. You guys got anything else tonight?
Oh, I did my homework so that we didn't get run down by Novak this week. The Jets were actually 10-1 when it was Paul McGuire who said they wouldn't win another game that season.
Punter.
Paul McGuire.
Yeah, it was Paul McGuire who said it. They were 10-1, and he, of course, as history-ish, we know very well, he was correct. However, which I didn't realize, and Novak right now is listening, going, "You're damn right, you didn't know it." The Jets won a playoff game that year.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I thought the Jets plane, no pun intended, actually just went.
So they went 10-6 apparently, and then they won a playoff game.
They managed to win a playoff game.
Yep.
Their first year at Giant Stadium, right? Because I think it was '86 season, right?
Was Richard Todd the quarterback?
Yeah.
Or was it Eason?
Oh, it was probably Kenny O'Brien, probably.
Kenny O'Brien.
Had to be Kenny O'Brien, right?
Yeah. I did. You know, it's funny. I never have any real hate for the Jets, but I actually liked those mid '80s Jets teams until Al Toon in '88. Then that's when I really started hating them. When
I always liked Wesley.
They knocked us out of the playoffs in '88.
Yeah,
the Jets.
I liked Wesley Walker. I liked the fact the Jets could draft a blind guy that could play other than Cedric Jones like we did.
Cedric Jones reference.
They knew their guy was blind. And actually they in the second playoff game at Cleveland, who, as we know, in '86 was a good team. A lot of teams thought that Super Bowl was going to be.
Oh, was that the double overtime game? I think.
Yeah, overtime.
Right?
11. They 23-20. So
yeah,
they faltered down the stretch. They found a little something for the playoffs and bucked up a little bit. So
it's good we give nuggets because we do have a lot of Jet fans that listen to us. So,
we should have like Jet Corner. We'll call it the runway. We'll call it the runway. We'll give like 8 minutes to the Jets every
the terminal or something.
The terminal. All right, here's our favorite segment, the terminal, where we give you Jets updates. So this wasn't. I don't think it was even this year, but Mark Sanchez is a giant laughing stock, of course, right? But I was watching a broadcast he's doing. By the way, he's a pretty good broadcaster. I like him.
He's good.
I like him on TV, where they were busted him about the butt fumble, and he was very good sport about it. He was laughing about it. He's so between him being better at his new job than he was at his old job, and the fact he can laugh at himself, I'm liking Mark Sanchez these days.
I thought he might turf it over to the butt punt that we just saw a couple weeks ago.
Butt punt.
I'd be like, "There's a butt punt now. Can we get rid of the butt fumble?"
I hate that the team that did the butt punt actually won the game. That takes some of the fun out of picking on it.
It does. There's a couple old classics, right? The butt fumble, right? Infamous. But then also, we dusted off the tape of Dan Orlovsky, who is an asshole on ESPN Get Up or whatever. But we dusted off Dan Orlovsky's just haphazardly running out of the back of the end zone. Yeah, because Garoppolo did it against Denver.
Yeah.
Last week or the week before. So as I was watching the game live, same thing. I had the same reaction. Like as Garoppolo's backing, as he's dropping back, I'm like, dude, slow down. What are you doing? He just fucking walked out of the back of the end zone.
The best thing about Garoppolo is it's literally a foot that goes out. Orlovsky's like running like he's like 7 steps out of the end.
He thought it was like the Canadian Football League end zone. It just goes on forever back there.
The 25-yard end zone. Yeah. Yeah.
He thought he could get a single if he walked out the back.
So Cardone has a little bit of broadcast experience. So you always see that they show the guys in the booth, right? And they've got binoculars sometimes, and they're looking down there. Aren't they watching the same TV feed we are? Are they watching with binoculars? And because the reason I asked the question, and it probably didn't happen on this play. I didn't see it live, but it's a good kind of thing to get where my point is going here, is that there's things happen on a play that I'm watching TV at home. I can plainly see. Stepped out of the end zone. And then, the quarterback throws the ball, whatever. The announcers are like, "Oh, it looks like I'm calling this back. They're back in the end zone. I don't know what happened there, Bob." It's like he stepped out of the end zone. Are you not watching the same thing I'm watching? Like, what are you?
Unless, as they're watching the game live, are they're just focused on something else, perhaps?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true when you're at the game. As a fan or as a spectator, right? You see things differently than if you're watching it on TV, obviously, because you can see the entire field. You're limited to what the TV screen will you can see while watching it at home. But to your point, Mike, I mean, they're seeing the same. What I can't understand is when they're reviewing a play to try to overturn it. They're seeing the same camera angles as the home viewer, right? Same thing. So like, I can't stand when something is so obvious and they don't just commit to it. They won't say anything with conviction.
No, they will not
no conviction.
Commit. So I think I've just recalled like what came up this week. It might have been a college game even, but the announcers are watching. It's like a pass down the sideline. The receiver catches the ball, but immediately his first foot goes out of bounds by this much, not even close. And the official had a bad angle, and he's coming in, catch. And the announcer's like, what a catch. Oh, my God, that's going to be. I'm like, he didn't catch it. It's not a catch. I'm watching that clearly on my TV. It's this far out of bounds. Like, there's, now they're cuddling. I wonder what they're talking about, Bill. He didn't catch the ball. How about
Back
that?
in the old days, you needed Greg Brady to take a photo of it and blow it up at the end.
Greg Brady. Yeah. That's when Carol didn't want him to play football. She was so worried about, her son that she went out on a date with. Like, she didn't want him to get hurt. So, like, hey, just, hey, the coach now asked me to be a fucking photographer now. And somehow Greg ended up being a doctor. I don't remember ever in the entire season, the series of the Brady Bunch, Greg showing any interest that he wanted to go to medical school.
Johnny Bravo didn't want to go to medical school.
I don't know. Guy did everything. He surfed. He played guitar. He fucking became a doctor.
He did everything. But
he judged cheerleading competitions with girlfriends and siblings. The guy did everything. Yeah.
All right, so we are the Three Angry Giant Fans. It's your host, Scott, Giant Mike and Cardone. Hit us up on Twitter at @angry_3. I've been in a Twitter war with some Cowboy fans over how not Stephon Diggs, but Trayvon Diggs is supposedly a future Hall of Famer. They don't want to hear that he gave up 1,000 yards to opposing receivers last year. Apparently, I'm quibbling with that. The one guy goes, he didn't come anywhere close to 1,000 yards. And then he comes back and goes, some outlet, I think it was Next Gen Stats, had him at only 923 yards. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He gave up 920. A shutdown corner gave up 923 yards to receivers. I'm sorry.
Let's go back through Dion's seasons and see how many yards he gave up in a season.
Yeah.
It's a third of that.
If I want to know if this guy's a shutdown corner, why are people throwing at him every game?
Yeah. He's not a shutdown corner if people throw at him 26 times a game. That's not what happens.
I don't think there's any such thing anymore.
They know we're gonna throw the ball at this guy 12 times. He's probably gonna intercept one. Good for him. But we're gonna get about 800 yards on him when we do that. He's definitely gonna bite on one that we're gonna get a huge gain on. That will negate the touchdown. That guy's too. We talked about Ezekiel Elliott last week being maybe the most overrated that offensive player that people think is really good. Trayvon Diggs is right up there on the defensive side. I mean, he is way more of a liability than a plus for that team. But he's the perfect player in our ESPN world because he's capable of a highlight play. So that's all we need is the highlight play, and then everyone's like, "Oh my God, this guy's amazing." Oh, and by the way, Dallas lost 28-6. And all 28 points were scored on Trayvon Diggs. So, yeah.
So my point was, hit us up on Twitter at @angry_. No, it's fine. 3 spelled out, THREE. Send us some questions. Again, check us out on YouTube. Search for 3 Angry Giant Fans. We do have video out there now. I don't know how great that is, but you get to see.
It's great.
3 guys in their glory.
Oh, it's great. 3 guys well past their glory days. I got a lot of criticism last week for profiling for most of the video. So I changed up I went direct on this week.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I noticed that, Mike. I was going to say something earlier, but
I listen to my critics. Yeah, I do. I mostly the critics from my wife, and everyone's like, "Oh, you can see your fat roll down there." So looking straight on kind of hides that a little bit.
Give the people what they want.
That's right. You gotta give the people what they want.
Absolutely.
So we will give the people what they want next week. We're going to be on, I think we're going to record on Monday next week, which means the episode will be live Tuesday. We'll recap the Packers game, and hopefully we beat the Dick.
Yeah,
gotta beat the Dick.
So hope everyone has a great week, and hope everyone enjoys the move to London.
Oh,
the tea and crumpets. The tea and crumpets.
So cringeworthy. It's a leprechaun? Is that a leprechaun?
I think it jolly be good it is.
You should have stopped at the first one.